Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Wednesday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, being part of my conversation with author Kate Myles, discussing her new book, The Receptionist. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In Mississippi news, Mississippi COVID-19 vaccinations double as virus surges. The number of people receiving doses of the COVID-19 vaccine in Mississippi increased last week for the first time in 3 months as the virus surges in the state. Mississippi's Department of Health reports that around 53,000 people received either a first or second dose of the coronavirus vaccine the week of July 25th to the 31st. That's after the state reported hitting a low of around 20,000 vaccinations for the week of July 4th to July 10th. The last time vaccination rates were so high was between April the 25th and May 1st, when 55,638 people were inoculated. Mississippi is ranked among the least vaccinated states. In national news, U.S. preparing new 60-day eviction ban due to COVID spread. The Biden administration will put in place a new eviction moratorium that would protect areas where 90% of the U.S. population lives, a turnaround after progressive lawmakers pushed the White House to do more to prevent some 3.6 million Americans from losing their homes during the COVID-19 crisis. President Joe Biden stopped short Tuesday of announcing the new ban on evictions during a press conference at the White House. But the new 60-day eviction moratorium will protect areas heavily impacted by the coronavirus, where about 90% of the U.S. population lives, according to 3 people familiar with the plans who insisted on anonymity to discuss the forthcoming announcement. "My hope is it's going to be a new moratorium," Biden told reporters on Tuesday. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has identified a legal authority for a new and different moratorium for areas with high and substantial increases in COVID-19 infections. The extension could help heal a rift with liberal Democratic lawmakers who were calling on the president to take executive action to keep renters in their homes as the Delta variant of the coronavirus spread and a prior moratorium lapsed over the weekend. Administration officials had previously said a Supreme Court ruling stopped them from setting up a new moratorium without congressional backing, saying states and cities must be more aggressive in releasing nearly $47 billion in relief for renters on the verge of eviction. In more national news, senators behind $1 trillion public works plan show off their work. The senators who spent months stitching together a nearly $1 trillion infrastructure package are now trying to sell it to the American people before a key vote expected this week that would push a long-recognized national priority much closer to the finish line after years of talk. Senator Susan Collins said Tuesday that the $65 billion for broadband means that some people in her state would get access to the internet for the first time. The pandemic that we have endured for more than a year laid bare the disparities in access to high-speed internet, Collins said. Senator Lisa Murkowski spoke of how the bill would lead to more rural and Native Alaskans having access to a sink to wash their hands in. The bill dedicates about $55 billion in new funding for water and wastewater systems. "We have to do right by our Native people," she said. The lawmakers, part of a group that they like to call the G10 for Gang of 10, 5 Republican, 5 Democratic senators, are appealing to the wishes of many voters for not only better airports, roads, and internet service, but also for some bipartisanship in Washington without being directly asked to pay for those improvements through higher income taxes or user fees. In more national news, Cuomo urged to resign after probe finds he harassed 11 women. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo faced mounting pressure Tuesday to resign, including from President Joe Biden and other one-time Democratic allies, after an investigation found he sexually harassed nearly a dozen women and worked to retaliate against one of his accusers. "I think he should resign," Biden told reporters on Tuesday, echoing the sentiments of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senators Chuck Schumer, and Kirsten Gillibrand. The leader of the state assembly, which has the power to bring impeachment charges against Cuomo, said it was clear that the governor could no longer remain in office. The governor remained defiant, saying in a taped response to the findings that the facts are much different than what has been portrayed, and that he never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. And finally, in sports, Biles returns to Olympic competition, wins bronze on beam. Simone Biles isn't going home with a fistful of gold medals. A mental block, one brought on by exhaustion or stress, or something the American gymnastics star still can't quite grasp, that forced her to pull out of 4 Olympic finals saw to that. Yet standing on the podium Tuesday, a bronze medal hanging around her neck and tears in her eyes, the 24-year-old Biles may have claimed something far more valuable, a piece of herself back. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, you have our attention.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Relationships are opportunities for learning to love yourself. The purpose of any relationship is to learn who you are and whom you can become. A relationship should give you the freedom to learn your essence of unconditional love. By having no motives, no expectations, and no judgments about what your relationship should be, you can learn about true love. Rather than focusing on your differences, focus on similarities as spiritual beings. If a relationship should become fearful or dangerous, get out, because you should always remain safe. Otherwise, see it as a possibility for love and learning to love yourself. Today, look inside yourself and see opportunities for love. Enjoy the day.
Author Kate Myles is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Author Kate Myles joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her brand new book that has people talking, The Receptionist. Here's a bit of our conversation.
But you begin this book with an interesting quote by Thornton Wilder. Wherever you come near the human race, there's layers and layers of nonsense. And I have to say, by the time anyone finishes The Receptionist, I think they will have a very true assessment of that quote. So the reviews have been coming in. People have been talking. What has it been like for you to see the way that people are responding to this book?
Oh, gosh, it's so interesting. You know, the book is... so many people come to the book with their different points of view, and some people see it as kind of this really dark noir. Other people kind of get the comic undertone of it, but everybody has an opinion about it, definitely. So, I'm really enjoying finding my audience and the people who are really, sort of get this sort of mix of tones I'm going for. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing for me that is so interesting is that the characters definitely draw you in. You're curious as to who they are, how they got to where they are, and so when they all come together in the different ways, it is really interesting to watch. So I'm curious as to how this all began for you, Kate. How did this story come to you?
Well, I started out, it's funny, I was writing short stories. So this started out as a short story. And okay. I started out, I wanted to take a sort of a Cinderella character, a fair maiden from fairy tales past, and sort of plop her down in 21st century Hollywood and just see if she could make it or not, because she would sort of embody all these, antiquated feminine ideals of like meekness and humbleness and waiting her turn, and sort of waiting for someone to lift her up out of her circumstances. So it was originally going to be sort of a dark comedy.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll have you guys on tomorrow with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.